we as Christians and as Americans in particular as well need to remember that the things we do or don't do now, both positive and negative, will impact the future. And I feel like a lot of times we don't realize how dramatic of an impact that will be. They felt so strongly that homeschooling was not an optional undertaking. It was something they were convicted that they had been called to do, and that it was important for them to engage in the defense of that ability. And so they actually traveled the 6 hours to Southern Idaho from our home to talk with legislators, to testify in committee hearings in support of homeschooling in an effort to make it more, I guess, a more protected undertaking than it had been before. And it took about a decade before Idaho got to a place where parents were at liberty to educate their children as they saw fit, as they were led by the Lord, without direct intervention from the state or direct supervision from school superintendents. So it was a long fight.
Yeah. It was for the long haul, right? And I'm sure many grew weary. But what I find interesting is this whole thing started with just a very small partnership with the public schools, right? It was just a little, hey, no big deal. We have no problem with homeschooling. Homeschooling's fine. You just need to have your local superintendent check off that they're okay with that, right? No big deal, not a ton of regulations. And then what happened?
Well, as soon as you had a superintendent who was bent on taking advantage of that, he did. And it really created a situation where there was no winning for these parents. There was no way they could meet the criteria that particular school district was requiring of them.
Right. So the regulations were small, like you said. Hey, we just need to know, one little thing, and then that you're homeschooling. That's all. Just tell us you're homeschooling, and then it was okay. We need a fire escape plan, which is
right, which is crazy. They were setting up a public school inside the four walls of this family's home.
That's what they were doing.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the regulations just came on stronger and stronger. And the other thing that really struck me is that your parents, just due to the nature of your location, again, you were small, rural, mountain, not very many people, they didn't feel it. I mean, people left you alone. You homeschooled. Your parents didn't actually necessarily feel it, but they had, again, the word is conviction. The reason they homeschooled you from the beginning was conviction. And they, again, had a conviction that even though this isn't directly affecting us today, right now, right? I mean, we can still, our superintendent isn't making life hard. They still said, you know what, this is still our battle for the future. These are our children's freedoms. This is our people. This is our community. This is what God has called us to do. And so your parents took up the fight, even though they were not directly affected by it in the moment. And they could have so easily just said, hey, you know what? I'm living my life. It's not going to affect me today. It probably won't even affect me tomorrow. I'm going to just do my thing. But they didn't. Their conviction moved them to action.
Precisely. And we as Christians and as Americans in particular as well need to remember that the things we do or don't do now, both positive and negative, will impact the future. And I feel like a lot of times we don't realize how dramatic of an impact that will be. Because again, for our family, it wasn't a huge deal, but they felt called to engage in that particular battle. And then you look at it now, it took them and another family and other families in the state to go, okay, this may not impact me right now in this moment, but this is a battle worth fighting for and over, and them coming together. If it weren't for all those families taking the individual initiative to stand up and not just homeschool, but also stand in defense of the right to homeschool, our state wouldn't be where it is now. And today, Idaho is the freest state in the nation when it comes to homeschooling. And that is an amazing heritage. It's an amazing outcome for people who stood on conviction.
Yes.
And then put feet to that conviction.
Homeschool Insights is sponsored by CTC Math. If you're looking for a great online math program, visit ctcmath.com and try it for free. For more great homeschool inspiration and resources, listen to the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.